A warm welcome to everyone for our PCQuest 35 years journey from 1987 to 2022. Today, we will be looking slightly forward and discuss, is Make in Tech India on track? And we have the ideal person to do that in the form of Ajay Chowdhry, who was founder of HCL way back in the 1970s. Also being chairman of multiple Indian institutes of technology, he has the perfect industry academia background to look at the larger picture when it comes to Make in Tech India. Welcome to the show, Mr. Ajay Chowdhry. It's really great to have you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So I think I'll get straight to it. Right now, Make in India is the mantra, and a big part of that is Make in Tech India. But when we talk of Make in Tech India, it has a myriad of components. So maybe if we can look at them one by one. Now, obviously, the most important thing is the government. And interestingly, in the last few years, the government has come out with a lot of performance linked schemes related to, better than me, semiconductors, mobiles, electronics, hardware, etc. So I just wanted to know what you think of these schemes. Is it enough? Do you think that will manage to make us a tech power by 2030? Why or maybe why not?
See, I think the schemes on their own are excellent. They are serving the purpose for which they were created, which is increasing electronics manufacturing in India, different areas. So they all started with phones, then went on to components, then went on to IT hardware and wearables, etc., etc. And recently the semiconductor policy. All of them are designed towards creating more manufacturing in India. So that objective gets served. What is not happening, and that is the area that is now getting the attention of the government, as I read from the semiconductor policy, is that we need to have more value addition in India. If we continue to just manufacture with 5%, 10% value addition and give away such large amount of incentives for low value addition, then we will not achieve our objective. So one of the things that we have been trying to impress on the government is that introduce schemes where design comes to the center. And fortunately, in the semiconductor policy, they have not just announced the design-led incentive, they've also specifically mentioned that to help the growth of the industry, they will aggregate the government demand for semiconductors. Now, I think that's a huge breakthrough as far as we are concerned. This is something that I've been telling the government for a while, that use the power of your large government demand to create industry. And this is something that they have added into the semiconductor area. I would like to see this happen in every area. And secondly, design should become the center of it all. If you want to manufacture semiconductors in India, who will give you the business today? All products in India in the last 10 years are not made in India in electronics. Pretty much every product is made either in China or in the US or South Korea. How many brands of India have vanished in the last 10 to 15 years? Now, if you look at that situation, we need to work on bringing those brands back. We need to work on creating Indian brands. Only when you have Indian brands will the design happen in India, the components will be bought in India, the sub-assemblies will be bought in India, and finally, when the semiconductor plant comes up, the chips will be bought in India. Today, all these decisions are not taken in India. 50% of the products, or more than that, in every category are from China. And therefore, the Chinese use their own chips. They will not buy chips from us even when they make it here. So I think it's a very major change that we need to bring around. And we need to make sure that products become the center of it all. With products, with design, with value addition, we will have a very thriving industry.
Okay, so that's quite enlightening for me. First, I'm really happy that they're getting it right on the semiconductor part, because as you know
Yeah.
now, semiconductor is come back into the fore. There's talk of chip shortages. So I think that's a positive step. And I like, maybe we should call it design in India. That is the most.
Yes,
The term is design
I
in
think
India. Right.
design in India is what will get us
Right.
far. If
Right.
we continue to depend on other people's designs, there is no real, we're not using our intelligence, our capability, our IQ, our knowledge, and the skills that we have acquired over the years. You'll be surprised. There are many electronic design companies in India who design for the world, but we don't design anything for India. If you look at even HCL, they will have 5 to 10,000 engineers who design for the world. They design real estate chips. All of them would have designed, whether you take HCL, Wipro, Infosys, everyone. So there's a very large component of design happening, but all of it for global customers.
Okay, that's interesting. So, and another thing is, you have seen the entire journey of software, hardware, services, and all. So, one rising star is the startup industry. So, the startup
Yeah.
industry was comparatively sleepy till 2019, and 2021, it's just taken off. I mean, these statistics are being thrown everywhere that we've had more unicorns in 2021 than the entire history before that. So, I'd like to
You
know,
know,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'd like to know whether this is a permanent trend or a passing fad. And because see, startups are making products, they're making apps, like you talk, design in India, make products. So they are to some extent designing and, they are catering to the Indian market. All most of the startups that have come, they're only interested in the Indian consumer. So what is their contribution to Make in Tech India?
See, actually, startups are important in every area that you can think of. And I got very deeply involved with startups when I took an early retirement from HCL in 2012, and I became a part of Indian Angel Network. So I have done close to 60 plus personal investments into startups as an angel investor. Plus, I'm involved with 3 funds. So I'm very deeply involved with the whole ecosystem of the startups. I think the last 8 or 10 years, you have seen very good growth of startups. And what has happened in the last 12 to 24 months is because of the tremendous interest in startups and because of valuations on the stock markets going so high, they have also got a second wind in a manner. And as a result, they're currently flying with very high valuations. Now, to my mind, the products and the work that they're doing is not a fad. They are really creating global world-class products. What was there 10 years ago, if you look at, we all used to ask this question in the drawing rooms, why India doesn't have a Google? We always used to ask this question. I think that's history now. What's been proven now is that a large amount of startups have created products in India which are not just made for India, but are made for the world. Okay, so you are seeing companies which are absolutely amazing that are happening. Look at Zoho. I mean, the headquarters of Zoho are in a village in Tamil Nadu, but they are catering to the world. And they are an amazing company in the software area, which have become product companies. So there's been a huge movement from services to products as far as startups are concerned. Startups have taken the lead in creating products in India, not the large companies. Large companies are still engaged in services exports, but startups have really grown extremely well. I do believe that the valuations are very stretched today, definitely very, very stretched. But we are going towards being a product nation, and that makes me very happy because it is products that will make us be recognized globally when they get used all over the world. And one very good thing that's happened in India is that because of the initiatives of the government and some of the organizations like iSpirit from Bangalore, there is a huge growth of India's tax. And those India stacks are quite amazing. They are actually in a manner driving a lot of the product development growth that's happening. And India today has an absolute leadership position in the world as far as stacks are concerned. So if we want to do soft marketing of India globally, the government should take up these stacks, do a G2G agreements with many, many governments, and very softly, we will be in the minds of the world, just like the Chinese entered the minds of the world with hardware.
So that's also like very heartening, because you're right, market capitalization goes up and down, but the products are here forever and they'll
Yes,
get better. So that's, and
that's right.
also this tax is also an interesting concept. So let's hope that.
Yeah, very good stacks we have, world class. The US doesn't have what we have. The Europe doesn't have what we have. We have something amazing.
Yeah. So, like we have covered the entire industry, but then the industry, they come from, academic institutions. And also, what about the status of the academia, the skills, and also actually research? I think probably we are lagging in research. So these three will also be very important to complement and supplement tech. So how do we go about, addressing that when we go forward for the next level of growth?
This is an extremely important area if we really want to be a world-class tech country. And I think it's our weakest link. And the academia and research organizations still do not work very closely with industry. I think the linkages are pretty much very poor or broken. A lot of times, a large amount of institutes, the top institutes and research institutes of the country, they wait for the industry to come and talk to them. It should be the other way. They should go out and talk to the industry and give their knowledge, their skills, their capability, their research capability to the industry. And if they involve startups, students, industry into research at an early stage of any institute. I mean, when I was, a founder, chairman of IIT Hyderabad, we started a whole process of having research from year one. A lot of times it happens in year 3 or in MTech or PhD. No, we should start at BTech level. And research has to be around which a university grows. Worldwide, universities happen only with research, not just with teaching. So that is a very huge issue. Now, something like this happened during COVID times last year. And that was very interesting. I watched it very carefully and I saw that the government initiated and they did a great job of bringing research, academia, startups together during the COVID period last year. And they had so many schemes and campaigns and strategies which they put together to create products in India. And it happened. So suddenly when we had shortage of PPE, we grew by 100-fold. Okay. Then you look at the shortage in terms of testing kits, many, many times the requirement. You look at what happened when we were looking at equipment like ventilators. I was part of a team from IIT Kanpur that we created a ventilator in 90 days. How did it happen? The IIT Kanpur team got deeply involved. And whoever we reached out to, whether academia or research in India, they helped us through and through. And we reached out to PSA, we reached out to various parts of the government, DRDO, we reached out to many people. In some cases, we were not even getting components. And we reached out to Invest India and they rang up people in Singapore and helped us get components. So, this is where the government needs to step in and make sure that this close working that happened during COVID gets institutionalized. And we must learn from it. And all the areas that we worked so well last year needs to be made centerpiece. And if that happens, I think we can have the skills needed, critical skills. You look at all the critical skills that are there today, whether they're blockchain, etc., etc. All these skills are in huge demand in India and globally. So India is also very short of such people.
So one thing, like you mentioned, like a certain technological acceleration or tech acceleration has happened during the pandemic. So I guess we have to carry this momentum forward. Yeah.
Yes.
And another thing also, I'm seeing a lot of industry and academia partnerships are increasing, but I guess, is it enough or is it on the right track?
No,
No,
no, no,
not
not enough.
yet.
Not enough. I mean, we should be having industry coming and teaching in the institutes.
Yeah.
We should relook at our pedagogy. We need to also look at changing the way we teach people. Now, for example, I'll give you an example of the work that we did last year. I found that the students from IIT Kanpur who came in for that project of creating a ventilator, they were fantastic in terms of design. But they had zero knowledge about manufacturing. They had zero knowledge about quality, right? Now, those two issues, as a task force and a team that we worked with and mentored them, and we had to add all of that. So what is required is that all the various institutions change their courses to make sure that people are not just taught how to design. They should also take it from design to manufacture. If it doesn't go from design to manufacture, the product is useless.
And another thing, like you talked of a lot of scaling up had happened during. Now I'm also talking about scaling up of skills like online education. I'm not talking of K-12, but is it now easier for professionals to keep scaling up their skills? Has that already started happening? Or
Hugely.
Okay.
Lot of online courses are available, and lots of companies are doing that. Whether you look at management, you look at technical skills, you want to get certificates, everything is happening online. So people who got left behind in the last 5 years, they have caught up during COVID. And since they had more time available at home during COVID, they all of them went for large amount of classes online. And therefore, the online business has really gone places in the last 2 years. And interestingly, that has been the model that the United States used in some of its universities to impart skills. There are a couple of universities in America which are just online or hybrid. They do not do enough, large amount of courses face to face.
Also, like I was wondering then, what about the new age emerging technologies, the deep tech scene? So where does India stand with AI, AR, VR, blockchain, hypercomputing? At least are we on the right track there? Because that's going to be the next stage of growth for technology.
It's very important to be very much part of there. And the good news is that there are huge amounts of deep tech startups that have started in the last 3-4 years. So I see large amount of AI, AR, VR, blockchain, quantum security, all those things are happening. I've actually spotted a lovely company which just called Q&U. They basically do quantum cybersecurity. And this is something which is absolutely essential if you want to protect the country and protect the company from quantum computers, which will actually break any security that you have in an organization. So those are things that are important. If you look at AR, VR, I think we are moving beyond AR, VR now into metaverse. And as you move into metaverse, more and more companies must start creating products in there. And one of my startups, which I have been mentoring, is called Trezi. They are in the business of, having an architectural product for the industry. And they have moved on to metaverse. And it's absolutely amazing to see the mix of AR, VR, and metaverse in their product. So it's happening. And a lot of companies are coming up here.
So I think you have explained in great detail the Make in Tech India scene in government, industry, startups, academia, skills, and even you have brought in the metaverse. So after that, deep and exhaustive discussion, probably maybe we can end is, what is your final verdict? Overall, is Make in Tech India on track? If yes, what can we do to keep it on track? And if not, what can we do to get it on track?
I think we need more and more of these shortage of skills that you see today. So there's a large shortage of AR, VR, metaverse type of skills, blockchain skills, full stack skills. It's very big shortage today. So we need to scale up the education system to keep up with that requirement, because the salaries are going too crazy. And if salaries go crazy, the cost of product will go up, the cost of services will go up. So I think that's a very wrong trend, and we need to correct that very fast. So I think huge amount of work needs to be done on creating the newer IT skills that are missing today. And the second part is that if you look at software, yes, in terms of products, we seem to be on track. But if we don't have the right skills that are required for today's products, then we are going to have a situation where products will become more expensive and will take longer to develop because you don't have the adequate skills. So I think that is where we need to pay a lot of attention to. And the second part is that as far as hardware is concerned, we have just got to start now. We haven't really gotten started in doing designs. And I think designing and value addition in India, we need to bring back the brands of India. And I think those brands will help us create a very, very solid ground for the hardware industry. And, a lot of times people say, if we are doing so well in software, how does it matter whether you're not doing well in hardware? I think that's completely incorrect, because the real situation is that today the boundaries between hardware and software are blurring. A lot of hardware has a lot of software. And there's no way you can create a hardware product without understanding AI and ML today. So very importantly, you need to integrate these things even when you design chips. And I think that's what is required for the country.
So anyway, thank you for that. I think what you talked, I will look at it as a roadmap for, making tech in India the future. And I really hope we can stick to this roadmap. And I think India will be transformed by 2030.
Yes, it's possible.
Yeah,
it's possible.
And also I'll also take one point, your design in India, because design in India is everywhere. Design in the metaverse, design in AI, design in hypercomputing, it covers everything. So I think that is one thing which we have to stick to, that will take us forward.
Yes. Make and design in India.
Yeah. So just a final parting shot. Are you optimistic we can do it, or what?
I'm very optimistic. I'm very optimistic because things are changing, and I think what is very interesting is that we have a very good alignment in the government also. So today fortunately we have two ministers who both understand technology as far as MeitY is concerned, and that's a huge positive.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So thank you so much for your time. It has been a pleasure talking to you.
Okay, Sunil. Thank you.